What's up everyone? Matt here on the Vinyl Head UK channel. Are you ready for another record? I've got some metal. And this is the first time that I've repeated an artist. So I've got a couple of records in my collection. Or I should say I've got a couple of artists in my collection who I've got more than one of their records already. If you saw my very first video that I did on a record of mine, might be a clue as to who this is. I always say, you know, who do you think it is, whatever. It's in the title of the video. You've probably seen already who it is, but hey, whatever. So, let's get on to this one. Black Sabbath. I got the self-titled debut of Black Sabbath as my very first record. I was quite excited that I got this record, so I stuck it up on my social media pages, and a very, very good friend of mine for the last 20 odd years or so, his name is Vic, and he is a drummer supreme. He owns a drum shop called Dr. Can you see what he did there? Dr. It's in Leamington, down in the Midlands. And it is where I learnt how to play drums as a young wee nipper. And then I went on to teach at the very same shop at Dr. under the guidance of Vic. Anywho, I stuck up on social media, Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. I was showing it off to the world. I was super excited I got it. And Vic messaged me. He saw this post and he said, Matt, I've got some vinyl that I'm looking to sell. I said, okay, sounds good. What you got? And he sent me a few. And one of those happened to be this very record, Sabotage by Black Sabbath. And I said, it needs to come my way. And he sent me this one along with a couple of others. There were some other Black Sabbath records, amongst others, that he sent me for a very good price. And I built up my collection. I quadrupled my collection with this package from Vic. I was extremely grateful for him to have thought of me and sent them down. So yeah, Sabotage by Black Sabbath. This is a fantastic record. It's probably right up there in my top 2 Black Sabbath records. It was originally released in 1975, but this is the 2001 reissue by Sanctuary. And Sanctuary put a few reissues out in 2001 of a few of Sabbath's records, obviously this being one of them. So it's, you can't really tell, I don't think, you won't be able to tell on this video, but it's a lovely textured cover. It's the only textured cover so far that I have in my collection. Flip it over. There's the back artwork for you. So, yeah, 2001 reissue. Should we talk about the artwork? I've mentioned about artwork. I'm a fan of artwork. Vinyls help me appreciate the artwork of records a bit more. But I'm not sure I appreciate the artwork on this one. I know there's a lot of people out there who do not like this. There is a bit of a story behind it, I believe. A rushed bit of a mix-up with this press shots. And I don't really know. I know it was fashion back in the 70s, but I'm not sure so much about this. I mean, what is Ozzy wearing? Oh dear. On the flip side, it's just a reverse there. The same shot from behind. It's very odd. Not the best artwork out there. It doesn't really fit the record all that much. Or maybe it does in places, but there's some tracks which, when you hear them, and then you look at these guys, especially if you'd never seen Black Sabbath before, you think, wow, I'm not so sure about this, but thank God the music makes up for it, definitely. So Sabotage, it was named Sabotage. This was an interesting fun fact for you. It was named Sabotage because at the time, Black Sabbath were going through some legal issues with the previous management, and they felt that the previous management were trying to sabotage the band and profits made for the band and whatnot. So that's where the name came from, Sabotage. There's a fun fact for you. Let's have a look, as normal, what we got. We've seen the artwork. Basic plastic sleeve. And then again, no surprises what colour it's going to be. Black. That weird artwork features right there on the front, and then on the flip side we have all the usual label credits, the track listing and whatnot. So I'm going to pop that away. That's Rain. Is that fitting for Black Sabbath? I don't know if you can hear it on that video. It's very heavy rain. That would have been good for the first review, for the opening track, if we had Rain just as that started, but never mind. So, track listing for Sabotage. Side 1, Hole in the Sky, Don't Start Too Late, Symptom of the Universe, Megalomania. Side 2, Thrill of It All, Supertzar, Am I Going Insane, bracket radio, and the Writ. So that's our track listing. As I say, it's one of my favourite Sabbath records. Hole in the Sky is an amazing opening track. It has this weird, I don't know if it's Ozzy and what he's sort of shouting in the background, but it has this sort of weird beginning, and then what a riff! What a riff to open, and it's still one of my favourite Sabbath riffs. It's one of my favourite Sabbath tracks. It's a track that every band I've played in, I've wanted to cover this, because I think it's worth covering. It has been covered a lot. Pantera have covered it, Machine Head have covered it, among others. And for good reason. It's such a great riff. We go from there into Don't Start Too Late, which is an acoustic-y interlude, which I don't know if this is the right place for it. There's nothing wrong with it, but when you go from Hole in the Sky and then you have Symptom of the Universe coming up as the third track, it breaks those two up a little bit, and I don't know if maybe we shouldn't have broke it up and just gone that 1-2 straight into each other, but I'm who am I to have said change that. Symptom of the Universe is regarded by some as the first thrash riff. I don't know about that. I'm not here to say what was the first thrash riff, but it's got that lovely fast palm muted riff in a down-tuned E, which is the ultimate driving song. If you want to drive fast with the windows down and the music up, put Symptom of the Universe on, and I can guarantee it won't let you down. It is a driving song. It's such a great, heavy, fast, pummeling song, and it comes through the speakers really nicely. Megalomania is quite epic, really. It has this quite haunting opening before it goes into this big chorus, and then it has like a really catchy second half. The riffs are catchy, the vocal lines from Ozzy are catchy, and Are you really a fan of this album if you don't sit there with Ozzy and go, sting me? Does it count if you don't do that? I don't think so. There's a lot of different passages to this song, and as I say, it's quite epic. And you get Symptom of the Universe, which is quite straightforward. It's to the point, you know what it does. And then Megalomania goes into something very different, but just as good in its own way. The Thrill of It All has a nice proggy opening. I think it's quite proggy. And then it comes into this great solo of Tony Iommi, like only Tony Iommi can do. And it really shows off Ozzy's vocals. There's some really great vocal lines from Ozzy. Ozzy's voice obviously isn't quite where it once was these days. You know, when you see him live, the vocals aren't how they used to sound in the 70s. You know, it happens to a lot of people as people get older. But this really shows off how great Ozzy could sing back in the day. As I say, some really great vocal lines coming through. Where are we at? Supertzar. It's a choir, and it's very different. It's quite a long instrumental, and it has a weird kind of feel to it. It is quite epic. You know, we talked about Megalomania sounding this epic track, but Supertzar is epic, but in a different way. But I'm still not sure what that place on the record is about. It was going off on a different tangent. I've read a funny story that Ozzy turned up to the studio and saw this great big choir and thought he got the wrong studio, and it just makes me laugh, that story. It sounds very Ozzy. But yeah, it's very different passage of music for a Sabbath album. Am I Going Insane is a glorified pop radio song, I think. There's not much more to say than that. It's very repetitive. It's catchy. It's not my favourite track. It's quite out of place for a Sabbath track. I don't think it sounds very Sabbathy, but it is a glorified pop radio friendly song, and it does a job. It could lead off as a single very, very easily. And then the Writ, which to me is one of Sabbath's sort of uncrowned moments. The lyrics are nearly entirely written by Ozzy, which was actually quite rare. Most of the lyrics from Sabbath were usually written by Butler, but Ozzy had wrote pretty much all these lyrics, if not all of them. And it's about just being annoyed at the music industry. I think a mix of the industry and the legal issues that they were going through at the time, and all of that just amounting into this for me, a really amazing song. It's heavy, which I think every track on this album is very heavy for the time, and I think still to this day. I talked before about Black Sabbath, the track Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath off Black Sabbath, being one of the heaviest tracks. Still to this day it holds up, and I think a lot of the tracks on this record do just that. But the Writ is incredibly heavy, and it just, there's this brilliant loud heavy riff near the end of a track, which again comes through my speakers. I'll talk about the sound of it shortly, but it comes through my speakers. It sits slightly up, I feel, on the levels, and it almost catches you off guard a little bit. It comes through, and it's such a great riff. But then it's Tony Iommi. He's a riff machine. The amount of amazing, brilliant, catchy riffs that man has written is untrue, and you just can't fault what a fantastic player he is. The band itself, I didn't mention about that. It's the same classic Sabbath lineup on this record. So Ozzy Osbourne on vocals, Tony Iommi on guitar, Geezer Butler bass, and Bill Ward on drums. We haven't seen a shift in the band yet. A couple of albums left with that original classic lineup before Ozzy came away from the band, and we had a new era of Sabbath with Dio singing. So very, very different style to Ozzy. But still that classic original lineup. Still the greatest rhythm section in music, full stop. Don't argue with me. Bill Ward and Geezer Butler. But yeah, how does it sound? It sounds great. It doesn't sound as good as Black Sabbath, but I really did my research on that one. And away from those original first pressing Vertigo pressings, I went with something that many regard as a great version or great pressing of Black Sabbath. With this, it got sent to me, as I say, so it wasn't really researching which is the best. But I think these 2001 reissues sound really great. I also have a couple of other Sabbath records from this 2001 reissue series by Sanctuary, and they do sound good. Again, not as good as Black Sabbath, but still good. I think it's so important to be able to hear Geezer's bass doing what he does, because I think he is a insanely amazing bass player. He's written just the most incredible bass, and you watch him play and there's so much going on. And I think it's so important for the bass to stand out. Obviously bass with some bands just sits in, and you can kind of pick it out if you're listening, but I want to be able to pick out Geezer like it's a guitar, like a solo or a riff coming through on a guitar. And that happens, and I'm happy about that. I want to celebrate those fantastic bass lines of Geezer Butler. I want to hear it. So job done on that one. And yeah, as I say, the solos come through really nicely. The riffs come through really nicely. The drums come through really nicely. It really shows off Ozzy's vocals fantastically. And yeah, it sounds good. It sounds really good. It doesn't sound like a carbon copy of the CD or digital version pressed onto vinyl, which I'm happy about. I don't know if it's come from the analogues. I'm not sure on that. I'll have to look into that a bit more. But 2 thumbs up, definitely, on this one. If you want a cheaper alternative, if you're not looking to get the first pressings, look out for the 2001 reissue series. This is Sabotage by Black Sabbath. It is one of my favourites by Black Sabbath. Let's not worry too much about the artwork, but what the sound of a record is like, and you won't be disappointed. I've got more Black Sabbath coming up. I'll intersperse them a little bit amongst other records. We've got some real nice Ozzy era Sabbath coming up still. So look forward to that. Remember, subscribe, like, get the comments on the guy. I want to hear what you guys think of these records, if you've got them, how you think they sound and everything. You know, we're all fans of this type of music. It's a great community to be part of. Let's get that on the go. Let's talk about all this. And hit the bell as well so you can be notified as to when new content's going up. Not only have I got my vinyl talk, but also various things like sharing memories from download and various other things like that. So keep an eye out, get that bell on the go to be notified at new content. But until next time, go and find Sabotage. Don't look too much at the artwork. Go and stick it on, or get it on in your car. Drive fast. Don't drive too fast. Don't be reckless now. Drive fast. Open your windows. Blast out Symptom of the Universe. You'll be the talk of the town. All right? That's my word on that one. But until next time, look after yourselves. Buy metal. Buy vinyl. Listen to metal. Listen to vinyl. I'll see you all soon.